Well, welcome to another episode of JRW Talks. Author of 5 books, Shonda Buchanan is the author of Black Indian, which won the Indie New Generation Book Award for Memoir and was chosen by PBS NewsHour as a top 20 book to read to learn about institutional racism. Her collection of poetry, Who's Afraid of Black Indians, was nominated for the Black Caucus of the American Library Association and the Library of Virginia Book Awards. An award-winning poet and educator, Shonda is a Sundance Writing Arts Fellow, a California Community Foundation Fellow, a PEN Emerging Voices Fellow, and literary editor at Harriet Tubman Press. She lives and writes in Los Angeles, and guess what? You're going to get to meet her at the upcoming conference. We're going to get right into it. She's hanging out in the virtual studio. We're going to get right into it and bring her up to the mic after this quick intro.
Welcome to the James River Writers Podcast, where we interview writers, agents, editors, and others from the industry to learn their perspectives on the world of writing and publishing. Our goal is to build community by connecting and inspiring writers. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
All right. We're so glad to see you and so glad to have you. I'm Charvette Mitchell, your lovely host, online marketing strategist, talk radio host, visionary author, and all the things here, hosting this amazing series to introduce you to a few of our special guests at the upcoming conference. Listen, we want you to register online for our 2021 conference. It is virtual. It is virtual. It is virtual. We have the information right there on the screen, and I'm sure wherever you are listening or watching, the link is right there over at James River Writers. So we're excited to have you. And as we're chatting, feel free to comment or ask any questions, and we will capture those as appropriate. Let's bring our guest on up to the mic. Shonda Buchanan, we're excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate you having me on your show.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's jump in. Like, how did you even fall in love with writing?
Oh my gosh. So every time I mention that I fell in love with writing at 9, it feels so far away. Because I'm 52 now, but I fell in love with language. I fell in love with falling into other worlds. I was a voracious reader when I discovered books, sci-fi, fantasy, fiction, mysteries. I read a book a day, probably for 2 years, from 9 to 11. I mean,
wait a minute, a book a day, not a few chapters.
A book a day. I would just devour it. I would, after school, I would start when I got home, and then I would finish it before bedtime, or else I'd be reading with the flashlight, in my bed. And because I was, and I have to say, I was a kid who, and I talk about this in my book, in my memoir, Black Indian. We moved to my grandfather's farm when I was 8, actually, going on 9. And it was such a bereft environment. There weren't a lot of kids, and the farms were 2 and 3 miles away from each other. And then the school that I went to was a predominantly white school, so I didn't feel accepted. I felt ostracized, and I became like a super shy kid. And a couple of things happened to me, with some of my peers. And it just made me retreat into myself. And then I started disappearing into the school library. And I love librarians. Can I say librarians are the saving grace of writers everywhere? Because the librarian allowed me to skip some of my classes, because she knew what I was going through. And she just let me sit there and read and read and read.
Wow.
So.
Wonderful. And so let's jump right into your memoir. Certainly, there's a lot of different things you could have written about, and you certainly are no novice at writing. But tell us what prompted you to write a memoir.
So what prompted me to write this particular memoir, I actually have 2 more under my belt. And if I get those out, let's pray on that. But
All right.
I wanted to write this one first because I wanted to tell the story of my mom, and I wanted to tell the story of my aunts and what it was like growing up, being these little mixed, kids, these
Yeah.
mixed race children who we predominantly thought we were just fully African American and American Indian. However, the narrative, the language that my mom would say is, she would say, you have some Indian in you, some French, some German, and a little bit of Black. And I was the darker skinned Indian. And so I would always be like, Mama, but look at the kitchen. Like, look at, I've got regular,
Yes.
They called it that good Indian hair, but I'm like,
Uh-huh.
no, my hair kinks up. There's so many things that I really wanted to discover in this memoir. And I wanted to know why we had that multiracial narrative. Why couldn't we just be Black? Or, how come we didn't know our Indianness? Like how come we didn't know who our tribe was? I mean, there were so many questions to be answered. And then also the ultimate question for me in writing this book really was, why did my family seem to act out in these really volatile ways in terms of how we interacted with each other? My mom, my aunts, we come from a family of alcoholics and, addiction and abuse and that kind of a thing. And I really wanted to know, like, why? And so I kept on the trail. I researched my family, my American Indian family. I researched them 13 generations back.
Oh, wow.
I found how we were connected to 3 different tribes, the Eastern Band Cherokee, the Kahari, and on my mom's aunt's side, the Delaware Cherokee. And then on my dad's side, I haven't researched the dad's side as of yet, but that narrative is that we're Choctaw and Black.
Wow. And so Black Indian, out and available. Look, that's enough intrigue right there to have viewers and listeners check it out. How can they pick up a copy?
Amazon is the easiest way of really just kind of click, that one click. But also you can go to Wayne State University's, my page on Wayne State University's website. And you can click that link as well, which if you click on that one, you will be supporting independent bookstores. So I'm happy if you do that. Even on my Instagram page, actually on my Instagram page, I have my website. So if you click on my website, there's a link to buy the book as well.
All right. And how can they find you on Instagram?
Shonda Buchanan. And in fact, I'm all week long, I'm posting my powwow dancing pictures. I am a women's traditional dancer.
Oh, wow.
And that's a whole nother piece that's going to be in the second memoir. But so I'm posting pictures of myself dancing to lead up to a Black Indian powwow. It's a virtual Black Indian powwow on the 25th, this Saturday coming. And so I'm posting pictures of, myself dancing and just talking a little bit about what it meant to rediscover, that connection to the tribe and to, actually, I shouldn't say to the tribe, to the culture, more so to the culture. So I'm posting those pictures and I hope people can join us for the virtual powwow, which is technically in North Carolina, but it's worldwide now since it's virtual.
Wonderful. So there's your personal invitation. And so we're excited that you're going to be with us at the 19th annual James River Writers Conference, happening online, happening virtually October 8th, 9th, and 10th. And so share with us where you're going to be during the conference, how people can interact with you.
So I have a reading on Friday. So that's 6:45 p.m. It's a poetry reading, and I will read some of my poems from the book, Who's Afraid of Black Indians? And I'll talk a little bit about how that book came to be. I have 2 panels on Saturday. So a poetry panel talking about poetry. And then another panel, I believe it's a memoir panel as well. And then I do my master class on Sunday. So my master class is called The Funny Thing About Memory, which in fact, I should probably write a book about how to write a memoir with that title.
Because I'm sure people ask for tips and all of that all the time.
All the time. In fact, I'm going to be doing my own masterclass in November because I have a lot of just followers and friends who want to write memoir. And And so they're saying, how do we start? How do we start? And I said, okay, I'm just gonna give a class. And so likely I'll probably do a twofer to say, like, you can take the memoir class and also the poetry class. So, but that's going to be upcoming in November, and I have not decided a date as of yet. But the funny thing about memory, if you want to come into the master class at the James Rivers Writers Conference, it'll be a 1-hour talk on how to essentially access memory and make sure that memory, if it's not yours, then you know how to write about it.
Oh, that's so good. And Catherine, thank you so much for popping in. She says the intensive sounds so fascinating. Absolutely. And so people and guests and listeners and viewers, you all are still able to register. Register today, jamesriverwriters.org/conference 2021. Or if you just end up on the homepage, you will be in the right place to actually register. And so is there a time frame for a memoir? Do you have to be over a certain age? Is there, sometimes people feel like, I should have accomplished really great, amazing feats. What's your thought around that?
I started writing my memoir when I was 30. And I started, the concept came to me when I was 30. And then I wrote a first paragraph, and then I kind of put it away. And then people told me, they were like, you're too young to write a memoir. And I'm like, I'm actually not too young, because they're not just my memories. They're the memories of my mom and my ancestors and this country, that's for what I'm writing about. And so I just persisted. I didn't let anyone tell me you were too young. And then when I finally got the first draft out, and I started shopping it around, people said, oh my gosh, that's such a dark memoir. Who's going to want to read that? And then I'm like, what do you mean dark memoir? There's so many funny moments in between the volatility. So I just persisted. And finally, Wayne State University was Annie Miller. I'm sorry, Annie. So sorry, Annie. My editor picked it up, and she said, I really love this book. We'd love to have it for the Michigan writer series. And it was so gratifying. And when she picked that up, so I'm 52 now, that means the book was published in 2019. So I was 49, I think, somewhere around there, maybe 48, 49. So I just persisted. To anyone who wants to write a memoir, it does not matter if you are 25. It doesn't matter if you are 55. As long as you are in control of that narrative. You decide if you want to tell it chronologically, if you want to tell it all, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened, or if you want to go back and forth between time. So you're looking at writing in the past and writing in the present, but you just really need to be in control of the narrative. If you're 25, maybe you have something to say that no one else has to say. And so that's your ticket. That's your valid author's voice. You have something to say.
Yeah, and I love that you laced in, your parents and your grandparents, because after a while, those things we start forgetting and all of that. So it might even be better to start documenting your history and all of that while you're younger, while it is fresh and top of mind. Oh, wow, our time is flying by. So one more time, let our viewers and listeners know how they can connect with you and also how they can purchase any of your books.
So you can go to my website as well, www.shondabuchanan.com. There's a link for purchasing my book. There's a link for contacting me. My email actually is shondabuchanan@gmail. If anyone wants to contact me and keep in touch, get on my newsletter, you can go to my website, but also Amazon, also Wayne State University Press has a link as well. And I give lectures. So I give lectures and readings and workshops on how to write the memoir, how to write poetry, how to do the anything creative in all genres except theater. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, last question. What continues to motivate you? What continues to keep you writing and keep you going?
That's a great question. I would say in terms of what keeps me motivated, it really is what I consider now. I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, and my desire to transform and to heal with language. I think that's my vocation is the writing piece. Like that's what I do. But my mission is to heal people with language in some way, shape, or form, and to connect us, and to really look at that human agency, and where we are connected, and how we can just do better, as human
Yeah.
beings. Let's say it like that.
Just do better as human beings. I think that is well said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Shonda, for stopping by JRW Talks, and also
So
for being
grateful.
at the conference. And we will see you online at the conference.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone.
Yay, we as well. All right. Wonderful chat. I'll tell you, time flies by, right? And so we are excited again to see everyone at the virtual conference. It is virtual. Jump over to our website, register if you haven't registered, or, listen to some of the past segments we've done. Then you can kind of know what's going to be coming your way, the amazing content. Again, I'm Charvette Mitchell, your host of JRW Talks, and I'm an online marketing strategist, talk radio host, visionary author, and you can find out more about me at charvettemitchell.com. Charvettemitchell.com gives you all the information. And until next time, we will see you all later, and we'll see you hopefully at the conference. Bye.